Okay, so I'm going to just grab your screens and then, okay, so we can get the insulation now. So I'll make a new layer for it and we'll just call it I suppose A batting. Oops, it's going in on the command line for some reason. So let's do that again. Oh, I don't know what these layers are being used for. But here we go. So I'll just use the one that was there already. Batting for now. Probably find a bit of layer name afterwards, but for now, as long as you've got a name, you can change that as you need to. And then the colour, again, really up to you, but I'll just make it grey because I don't want this to stand out. And the line weight I'm going to make fairly light, but not too light, so 0.18 is probably good. And I'll make it current layer, and then, so I'll just point out, with the blocks that you have, if you want to try them, they're there on the, oh sorry, I haven't put them onto the P drive yet, but I will copy them across. In fact, I'll just do that now. So the blocks that Tanya gave you last time, I'll copy onto the P drive. Thanks, Care, for that, and I'll put them into the, I'll just put them into here for now, 2019 blocks. Grey, yep, just colour 9, 0.18. Yep. So you'll see there is a dynamic block for batting, or dynamic bat, and there's another one there, I think it's a newer version. They do work kind of, but you'll see if you look at that file, it's set up for inches, and you'd have to scale it and make sure that's all working, and it's a dynamic block, which can be difficult to work with as well. So we'll look at dynamic blocks later, but for now, I'm just going to show you how you can draw this using a few basic drawing techniques, and it's a good way just to practice working with geometry. So using the circle tool, I'm going to go to circle 2 point to start. And then, I might just quickly look at John's detail. Yeah, he's got the insulation kind of going down into the stud work there. In reality, it probably would, but I'm going to have it above. And maybe a little bit. Like, they just stuff it in, and whatever they can get in. It might, yeah, probably would go a little bit. Yeah, but I'm going to draw it above. Yeah. So I wanted to start on this line, but I'm not that worried about the exact measurement. Just like in real life, when they're putting insulation in, they're not going to sit down with a ruler and measure. So here, I'm going to use that nearest option. And this is when nearest is really helpful. So, yeah, so you can turn it on by changing your running snaps as you go. That works. But I'm going to show you another option. So you can type NEA. And you'll see me doing this all the time. NEA for nearest. Enter. And that just turns it on for the next click, which is handy, because I don't want it to stay on. Yep, NEA, enter, and now if I move my cursor near any object, you can see it's giving me that nearest snap. Yep. So that's great if you just want to start on an object, but you don't want to start at a particular point or use a measurement. So there I can click, and coming across now to the left, I've got ortho on, and I'm going to type in my measurement, which is 38. So that's just something I worked out is going to work well for this insulation we're trying to draw. Yeah, it should be big. So that's just the size of the curve we're going to have on the side. The rest of the circle is going to get trimmed. So then I'm going to select that circle and copy it using the quadrant point on the bottom. So if you haven't used quadrant very much, that's just one of the running object snaps that I've got ticked. And quadrant gives you the 4 compass points on things like circles and arcs. So the top, bottom, left and right, which is really useful for arcs. So I'm going to pick it up on the bottom of the circle, that quadrant, and then snap to the quadrant on the top. So they're both touching. And then actually I'm just going to quickly look at this so I can think about it. And yeah, so, okay, so now I want to copy these halfway. So I'm going to copy them, if that doesn't make sense, you'll see. I'm going to copy them across by just picking up on the quadrant and coming over to the left. And now I want to move them up halfway, so I'm going to select those two and then use move and just snap to the quadrant at the bottom and then go to the centre, which is halfway of course. So that's the the other side of my batting. Yeah, oh no, I did it by snapping. So I'll do that again. So I selected the two on the left, then click to move, and then picked it up on the bottom, on say the quadrant, and then snapped to the radius, and that makes it halfway. Snap to the centre, so not the radius. Yep. So now I should be able to draw a line that connects these. Now here, I can't help it, I want to be accurate. Really, you could do it by eye and it will probably be just as good. But it's easier sometimes if you are accurate, you'll see, because when you're trying to join things, if they're perfectly symmetrical, it just makes it easier. I know you might think it's being fussy, but it does actually, it helps. So I'm going to draw a line, and it is by eye, this one. So basically I'm trying to get halfway between the centre and the edge, so basically half of my radius, but by eye, I'm not going to measure that. And then I'm going to come down and just make sure that's a straight vertical line. Then I'm going to select it and then use mirror and snap to the stud at the bottom, which we know is the centre of our wall, and bring that up, and I've got a mirror image. Then I can draw a line that connects those points, and it's still not right. Why is that not right? That should be there. So this is right. Well, let's just see. So if I draw a line now from this intersection up to this one, oh, that's okay. That's good enough. Yep, that's perfect actually. So it's good. Okay, so that's what I was after. So that just that line. Yeah, yeah. Connecting those intersections. And I'll do another one going up the other way. So from this intersection to this one, yeah, it's actually really good. All right, so if you look at this one that I've based it on, you'll see they do have a little curve there that maybe I don't have, but it'll be good enough. Yeah, there you don't. And if you look at this, the way they've drawn it, ours is going to look just as good. Look how many curves they've got. It's just, I think they started off with a spline or something and then converted into a polyline, which gives you this. Yeah, I mean, splines are great, but when you convert splines into polylines, they give you all these extra points, and that's hard to work with. And I think it's easier if you can keep it as a simple curve. It's a lot easier. So I've got my two lines, which also will give me a thing that I can use to trim my circle. So that's the next step. So I'll also, I'll just select this line here. So I want another copy of that down below that's coming up from here, and I want it to be identical. So I'm going to use, again, mirror. This time I'm using the centre of my circle and then coming across to the left to get a straight line. Oh yeah, okay, so I'll just show you that. So if you can't get the centre, I'll do it with this one. So again, when you click mirror, you should be able to move your cursor onto the edge of your circle, and then the centre should come up with that blip. If you don't see it come up, just check that you've got the centre object snap ticked. So there we are, so I've got another one. So now that's enough. I'm going to get rid of these two vertical lines. Snapping to a right angle, you want that. Okay. Yeah. So you're trying to do your mirror line. So yeah. Oh, okay. So just turn ortho off. Yeah. 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 So yeah. Okay. So yeah. So now I can use trim. I'm not going to select any cutting edges. I'm just going to press enter to make everything cut, and then now I can trim the insides of those circles, and you can see it's cutting back to give me the batting. And I only need two, so I can delete this one, and this one, and this one. So I've reduced it now down to the minimum that I need, which is those two arcs, and the, do we even need, that, sorry, I'm not thinking that's going to come up. So if I copy this, let's do a couple. So if I copy that one, Yeah, we don't need the one coming up either. So, yeah, so this line here, that can go too. Yeah. So that's all we need. Oh, so you just use the lines to trim. Now, you might need to check if you're really fussy, and it's good to look at this detail, yeah. So see how there, when I select the arc, it's actually going past the line because it's got to be, it can be cut by it twice, in other words. So all you do there is just do trim again, press enter, and you can cut back to there if you want to. Oh, so when you're zooming right in, you'll see it, yep. Oh, the curve. The bit of the curve that's sticking out. Yeah. Yeah. So that should be good enough. You might get a little corner there, but no one will ever notice it, and I wouldn't worry about that. So there we are. So it's kind of an S shape. And now, you could make that into a block. To trim, so you trim the circle first, and then come back and have a go at trimming the lines. Or use the circle again, but you need to zoom right in. Yeah, I'll come over here. So I'm going to make this into a block first. So I'm just selecting it, B enter, and we'll call it batting. In just bat 76. Yep.
So that's just a B, not WB, just B. Block it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just B. I'm not going to export it yet. So yeah, just B for block. Yep. And then the insertion point. Normally, it would make sense if it was on the edge of the wall lining, but because it's just one, I'm going to do it on this corner here. So I'm going to click pick point, choose this point. You'll see in a minute why that's helpful. And convert to block, yep, okay. So now when I select it, we could use copy and use that same insertion point and just keep snapping it. Oh, now sorry, I'm being stupid again. Okay, I've made a mistake, so I'll undo that. Oh no, so I'll redo it. Sorry, I won't. I'm going to fix my block, which is a good thing for you to say. So I didn't trim this line back enough, but I should have. So, well, it's actually the arc I should have trimmed. You'll see in a minute what I missed. So, yeah, you can fix it. So that's good. So when I select the block, I want to fix it. So right-click, and you can go to Edit Block in Place. Click OK. So I'm going to draw a line down from the end of this line to where it intersects with that curve, and then just trim to take that bit of the curve away. And then I can save changes, and now, unfortunately my insertion point is still at that point, and that's too hard to fix, but I'm not worried because I can still use copy now and pick it up on this end, and then just keep snapping it onto each of those points, and it lines up perfectly each time. That circle is extra, but that's fine. So that works, but do you know what you can do if you want to multiple copy in one step? So, exactly, the array tool is like a multiple copy. So I'll just do the array and then I'll have a look at any issues you've got. So with array, the end of this, yeah. So you can do a polar array, and that's great to copy things around a circle. But I'm just going to do a rectangular array here. So it's come up with all of these copies. I don't want those. So I only want, one column, that's right. And then my distance, you can see here it's got the number of rows, so maybe I'll type in, just as a guess, 10. And then the distance between. You can see there isn't coming up, well, it's not letting me pick those points very easily. So down on the command line there, you can see you've got this spacing option. And so then you can see it's asking to specify the distance between columns. That doesn't matter because we're not using columns here, so I'm just going to press enter to keep that. And then it's going to ask for the distance between rows. And so for that, I can pick this point here, and then come up and pick the point directly above it. And you can see then it lines up exactly. Yeah.
That's lovely, but I missed it. Yeah, where's your array copy?
So?
Why did you do a little array and not a column?
Oh, I could have done copy. I just would have had to click on each point. Whereas this does all of them,
Oh, okay.
yeah, in one.
What was it on there? How did you copy it?
On the modify panel. So Array does the copies for you.
Yeah, on that bit, but
Yep.
then how do you do it?
Oh, so you've got to use the spacing option on the command line. Yeah.
Symbol for array.
Yeah.
Online. Edit array.
Okay, so then I'll change the rows up the top here. And so you can see 10 isn't enough, so I'll try 20. And that's getting close to what we need, but still want a few more, so I'll try 23. That's probably one too many, but that's all right. That's good. There we are. So that works. So that's probably a good method. Array with a block works pretty well. And it would have worked without a block, but making it into a block just makes it a bit easier to adjust it later. So I think that's probably a good point to stop. But yeah, let me know if you've got any issues with it. I know it's